Okay, welcome back to the Movie World Marathon. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Matt.
And we've officially finished our second superhero marathon, our Spidey
Woo!
marathon. Our superhero summer has come to an end.
Oh, that's kind of sad.
Yeah, this was a good one though, even though you didn't like it in the
It
beginning. This was
was.
fun.
There were some frustrating moments, but it was worth it.
Mm-hmm. We are on Spider-Man Brand New Day. Came out July 31st, 2026, directed by Destin Daniel Cretton. Cast, of course, Tom Holland, Zendaya, John Bernthal, Jacob Batalon, Michael Mando, and of course Sadie Sink. And then
Hmm.
that's. Am I forgetting any big ones? Without getting into spoilers, Mark Ruffalo's in this, and then full spoilers,
Hmm.
full
Yeah.
spoilers. Don't listen to this if you don't want
We're,
spoilers.
yeah.
Spoilers. You've had your warning done. And then
Spoilers.
Florence Pugh's in there, as is. Did I say Sadie Sink? Sadie Sink is in there, and so is
Hmm. Hmm.
I thought I was missing someone else in here somewhere. Oh,
Florence?
Marissa Tomei. She's technically in there. That's a mild
Oh,
spoiler.
yeah.
That's a mild
Yeah.
spoiler. But yes, Spider-Man: Brand New Day. New
Hmm.
beginning. What's probably going to be a new trilogy, but ending this marathon. Cool beans. What do we
Yeah.
think? General thoughts.
Like, the general public response has been overwhelmingly positive, and I am no exception. I feel
Mm,
like it's very good. And
mm-hmm.
I think what makes it really good is the fact that it kind of it manages to somehow stand on the legs of the previous Spider-Man films in a way like it makes little references. It
Mm-hmm.
it builds off of their sort of like what they do in their stories, but it also manages to be like its own thing entirely. It's also the
Mm-hmm.
closest we've ever really come to just like watching Spidey do his thing in New
Mm-hmm.
York. I feel like
Very true.
everything else has always been like very geared towards a specific like climax. This one is too, but in order for us to get there, we have to go through like the daily life of what it's like for this guy because it's a big part of
Mm-hmm.
the story. And I think that gives us a sort of window into quote unquote daily Spider-Man life
Mm-hmm.
that we don't fully get, or maybe not as much in the other versions of
Yeah.
the other movies.
Daily Spider-Man life in this was great. I love watching him work with his tech setup and stuff. I've seen no one complain about that, minus one thing. And I'm just, it's cool that he's built it. I just didn't care like so many people did before when it was Stark given. Like I like the
Right.
idea that he inspired a lot of it.
Hmm.
I'm just glad he still has his moving goggles.
Hmm.
His 3D printer fixing his suit fixes a little thing in my head, kind of like what we talked about. Like it always stresses me out when he has to fix his suit in past movies, and he's got
Yeah.
a system for it. Brilliant, love it. That made me feel
No,
better.
I like that too, especially since
Mm-hmm.
this is like a version of Peter Parker that has trained
Mm,
under Tony Stark. So like
mm-hmm.
the idea that he wouldn't have semi-automatic machines doing a little bit of
Yes,
fixing for him,
so good,
it makes sense that he would.
so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't. How do we want to do this structure wise? Do we want to do structure, or do we just want to talk about things we liked and then get to nitpicks or critiques, or
I feel like if we go through the plot, we'll end up in the weeds
yeah,
way too early.
probably.
Way too early.
So things I liked then, real quick.
Hmm.
I really like the montage, opening montage.
Yep.
It's very fun while also tragic watching Peter miss out on the 4 years of college with Ned and MJ. Helps to
Hmm.
establish the situation without having to recap the previous movies really well for anyone who hasn't seen the previous movies. But at the same time, if you haven't seen the previous movies, what are you doing here? Um, the villain montage, semi comic book cover recreation montage, I think is very fun. Um, the and then once we get to the like first action sequence with the tank is really good. The swinging is great. The first person's
Hmm.
perspective is great. The weight of the swinging, like the shaking of the camera as if it's on him somewhere, is really cool.
The camera work throughout the film is
Mm-hmm.
really well done, particularly when it comes to like fight choreography bits. Every now and then I felt like it was maybe a little bit closer than it should be because I had a hard time following some of the bigger motions happening,
Mm.
but it was always able to capture like what was happening emotionally in the scene while still letting you see like the stunts and stuff that they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, like very cool. I mean, in one of the end fights, the camera like turns upside down with Spider-Man as he like
Mm-hmm.
jumps from the floor to the
Very good.
ceiling.
Very good.
Yeah, and they do that with like a broken circle into like the fence that he's just behind fighting, so it feels all very much like it's spinning. It's very
Mm.
cool. It's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Totally
general
agree.
cinematography.
Yes, and the action
I
is
like.
great. The use of like real swinging that they had filmed, it works really
Mm.
well during the fight sequence with the tank.
I really like. Everyone always talks about, well, not everyone, but like people talk about the big like color pops in the MCU Spider-Man movies
Mhm.
where it's just very bright and cheerful. And this one is not that, but they managed to make it still feel like it's a part of the same universe. Like somehow this is like the ultimate fusion of what Spider-Man has been in the previous versions
Mhm.
and the MCU. It's brought like, somehow even just from maybe through Far From Home's like influence on the franchise. It's like our Peter Parker in the MCU sees those two and kind of like almost kind of mimics them or imitates them a little bit intentionally. The suit
Mhm.
has some clear like
Yes.
changes in relation to the suits that he saw before. And
Mhm.
I love that we like they make it a lot of intention to make the suit look different.
Mhm.
It's like a thinner
Yeah.
material. You can see it ripple when he swings. There's
Mhm.
just a lot of really cool
It
things.
it grew on me more than I expected, but it's still not. It's not my favorite. What I like though is that he's in it for most of the movie. That was really really
Yeah.
fun. I like.
It's also, I mean, if you think about it, that would be pretty important to the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole
Exactly.
movie is about him struggling with his identity and basically neglecting Peter Parker entirely, just being Spider-Man. So for him to not be in the suit 90% of the film would be a problem.
Right. Yeah. And I like that we get some fun moments from that where like Frank makes fun of him for drinking coffee with it on. Yelena makes fun of him when he gets into the bathhouse tub. That's just a great image. So yeah, it was great. I will say that I think this is gonna sound dumb, so just bear with me for a second. The suit is not my favorite, but I think the
Sure.
mask is. I think this is my favorite of all the
Okay.
masks because
Mm-hmm.
it's it's a it's a vibrant red. It's not as like kind of
Mm-hmm.
muted as the Far From Home and No Way Home and Homecoming suit. Um, but so it's a darker, more rich fabric kind of deal, like Toby's in a way. It has that brick pattern that Andrews has, which I don't necessarily love, but whatever. But it still has the moving eyes, and they are a bright white. It looks like comic
Mm-hmm.
book art in every single shot it's
True.
in, and it's so good. So I that really grew on me over time.
Mm-hmm. I think it also matters that he doesn't have like some sort of mold in front of his face in
Mm-hmm.
this suit. Like you can see him like saying his lines, and there's just
Mm-hmm.
a slight, little bit more of like expressiveness in it,
Yeah.
which not really like I wouldn't call that comic accurate necessarily because you can't. They don't really draw Spidey's face differently in those panels, but it does kind of bring it to life
It
in a
makes
way
yeah, it
that
makes
the
more
other
sense.
suits feel. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, the other suits feel just a little bit statuesque.
Mm-hmm.
He does a really great job acting through the suits. We actually talked about that in an earlier episode. Forget which movie though. Point is, Tom Holland does a really good job acting through the suits. I think he's actually the best at it. Granted, he has probably the most resources and like clips to look back at to practice with, but
Mm-hmm.
he's
Mm-hmm.
very good with it. But even just having like a slightly more visible, I guess, facial features makes a huge difference.
I
It
agree.
makes it possible for you to see him like treating Spider-Man as his actual identity
Mm-hmm.
rather than just like a thing he puts on to do a little bit of saving the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. Running through a couple more positives.
Mhm.
Let's see here. I love the inclusion of the Punisher, and the interactions between those two are fantastic. Um, I think the fact that they are friends in real life really does help to feed into that.
Yeah.
Um,
I didn't realize that they filmed each other's audition tapes
that's
for the
awesome.
MCU projects.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool that
Yeah.
they've been able to bring that all the way back full circle. Um, see, I'm trying to decide what I want to like talk about next before we get into like meat and potatoes. Um,
Mm.
Party sequence is great and tragic. Like him following Ned
Yeah.
back to the party. I feel like I would
Almost
do
like
the
he
same
can't help
thing.
himself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's great.
He has no
Um,
plans. He's
no,
not trying to hang out with them. He just like
he's just that
just
desperate. Yeah,
yeah. He just wants a
and
little window.
yeah, and I
Ah.
do like other people have pointed this out, and we kind of talked about it, but both Jacob and Zendaya playing MJ and Ned very clearly like more adult, more mature. Like it's like a
Mm-hmm.
dub when you think about it, but also not necessarily, you know, because they had three back-to-back movies
Yeah.
where they had to play basically children, and now they feel
Mm-hmm.
notably older, more confident, more
Well,
relaxed.
I would argue there were a couple people who said that MJ felt out of character in this film, and I would argue that Zendaya or potentially the writers or directors or whatever, they're doing excellent character work with
Mm-hmm.
MJ because she starts as this like sure she's a little bit loud for someone who you normally call self-conscious, but MJ in Homecoming is like she sits in the corner, she doesn't really engage with people. That's generally signs of self-conscious, right? Like we're
Mm-hmm.
not really fitting in, we're not really finding our people, we're not really finding our stride. Then by the end of the movie, she's getting a little bit more confident, she's getting a little bit more invested. Then we see her as like a functional teenager, but not really like a full-on friend, I would argue, in Far From Home. We get there at the end, but
Mm-hmm.
she's still sort of like running around. And then she's like a core part of the group in No Way Home. And then at the very end, in this one, at the very end of that movie, you see her regress. Like they put her hair back in closer to a homecoming hairstyle for her. She had been wearing her hair in sort of like longer or braids all the way down, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all close and messy up to her head again. She's a little bit more nervous around a stranger. Like there's just very interesting changes at the very end of that movie. And I feel like they did that but with 4 years of college and
Mm-hmm.
MIT on her in this one.
Mm-hmm.
She and Ned have been reliable friends. She's had that, source of security for a while. She's grown up now, so she's dressing for work. So she's a little bit neater, a little bit cleaner, a little bit more put together. But she's still the same MJ. Like the whole
Mm-hmm.
like knowing what Frank had all those things for
Right.
bombs
Yeah.
and you say the French has been mind controlling their people.
Right.
Like that's just
She's still
it's
herself.
still her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that it's like it feels slightly off because it's
Mm-hmm.
not quite the MJ that we are familiar with because of the spell. Like
Mm-hmm.
Peter in her life changed her. Not having Peter in her life will revert her back to something before
It's a
Peter.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So I don't know. They're doing a good job with that. I feel like the same thing with Ned too. Like I love that Ned is a conspiracy theorist trying to track
Yes.
down
I loved all
who
the
Spider-Man
scenes with
is.
Ned. It was great. I like
Mm-hmm.
I like the moment like right before the third act, I think, or maybe the beginning of the third act, where they're all hanging out and he's still in the mask and all
Mm-hmm.
that, and the Spidey tracker's adorable and very fun. And the if we skip all the way to the very end for a second, I like that it ends with Ned
With
and
this.
the handshake. That was so good. It was
Yes.
very sweet.
No, that's actually like super important to me because I thought it was interesting. He basically rekindles his friendship with Ned as Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he and MJ, almost by the force of the situation that they were put in, he has to reveal kind of both at the same time. Like not necessarily, but it ends up being kind of that way. Whereas with Ned, he doesn't have to reveal Peter or talk about the spell. And he doesn't. He just sits there as Spider-Man, which again is
Mm-hmm.
good in the whole like his identity complex thing. He's hanging out as Spider-Man with Ned and MJ. And then at the end is when he decides that he's actually going to do that as Peter. And he's going to
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and let Ned into the whole thing. Quick question,
Yeah.
might start an argument. Do
Oh,
you think Ned remembers when he says Peter the second time at the end there?
I'm not at a point yet where I feel I can argue. I'm comfortably in. I'm happy either way. If he figures out
Mm-hmm.
in that moment that this Peter is Spider-Man, that because of
That
the
seems a little
information
convenient.
that what? Sorry.
Sorry, I just said that would seem a little convenient. If you're just like, I met two Peters in the same week, happens to be Spider-Man.
Well, I guess it's just I like the idea of what MJ says about when she says Peter as he leaves and he catches the name,
Mm-hmm.
and he knows that Spider-Man has a Queen's accent, so maybe he recognizes the voice,
Sure.
and then if the
Sure.
muscle memory of the handshake sparks something, because as we discussed, he did the handshake with Spider-Man, but only with Peter's mask off. But maybe there's something there.
Mm-hmm.
If he figures out in that moment that Peter's Spider-Man, that's fine. If that muscle memory somehow triggers that he fully remembers, I'm also okay with that. I'm just a little bit iffy on a full-blown reality warping spell being beaten by muscle memory / well, Ned maybe has magic. I don't really, that's not a good enough argument for me, because
Okay, okay, I'm not necessarily on the side Ned absolutely remembers. However, I do feel like the acting choice suggests
no,
that
you're
he
right.
remembers.
Yeah.
And not just like in a neutral way, like in
Mhm.
a does he remember? That kind of sound like he remembered. That was like he remembers.
It seems like
But
it.
I think that I mean and I played it up. Try again. I was not the one that made this connection, but someone pulled up a clip and they're like, when he does the handshake in No Way Home with Peter in the suit, he's wearing the sling ring and it sparks.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, if Ned is magic
Uh-huh.
and the handshake has engaged his magic before, who's to say that this time doesn't?
Well, okay, maybe, sure. Here's where I'll end this bit. Like, my point on it is, I want Ned to remember. I hope in that moment
Okay.
he does remember. I'm not gonna be like, no, he shouldn't. Like, I wouldn't, like, I don't mind that Peter and MJ don't get back together, because I feel like that would be
Same.
too quickly to heal that wound. But I'm totally fine with him and Ned becoming friends again. I just don't think thus far the arguments to quote unquote prove that Ned remembers are as strong or as watertight as maybe they should be. Because, like, they're all good, they're all just kind of weak given what
Yeah.
was used to wipe everyone's memories. Like, yes, this is a spell that affects the boundaries of known and unknown reality, and it can be undone by the muscle memory of a very good friend. Now, there's an argument to be made for the power of friendship, especially in the MCU, and I get that. There's an argument to be made that Ned has magic. However, I'm not going to sit back and be like, yes, because Ned has magic, a spell doesn't work on him. That's never been a thing. Wizards aren't immune to magic, you know, like...
Yeah, the whole point about, like, Wong not remembering the party and him being
Right.
the Sorcerer Supreme.
Exactly.
Like,
So,
my thought on that is more like, it's not like magic users are unaffected by magic. It's more that that handshake, which is a hand movement, by the way, would be about as close to a spell that Ned would have to, like, being like knowing Peter.
I'm torn. I'm
And
torn.
yeah. So, like, again, and I actually kind of love the idea that the memories don't flood back all at once, where it's sort of like there's been a door unlocked, but you still have to sort of go through the process of opening it and filtering the information in that room. So I kind of like the idea that he like remembers Peter in like a concept, but then maybe not all of the memories are super sharp, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Sort of like a recovery from amnesia sort of situation, where it's not as instant, it's more like a process.
Right. I don't hate that. I'm open to further arguments, and if we get another movie and they're just friends, fine. Like, I'm not gonna be upset about that. I really won't be. 'Cause other people have pointed out that after, spoiler, Jean messes with Bruce's mind, he talks about how she might have broken something, and that's what helps trigger Savage Hulk again. And everyone else, I'm sorry, but I've seen a lot of people pointing out that she's frozen part of New York. Like, maybe she messed with Zendaya or MJ and Ned's minds and brought back memories. Like, I don't think Jean's power has the ability to bring back memories that were erased by a reality warping magic spell. That's not where her powers are. So I don't think that's a thing. People have repeatedly pointed out that MJ was crying during this. Like, yeah, because she's frozen and it's scary. Like, that's enough for me.
Sure. It's very strange that she would be the only one.
She's not. We don't go and look at everyone's face. We don't look at everyone's face.
We look at a fair number of faces
for an
instant. None of the other ones
instant.
seem to be sure. And, like, I'm honestly willing to believe that too. I just feel like that's Jean being a psychic, right? Being a telepath. She is currently in everybody else's mind, and then she goes deep into Spider-Man's mind. And I'm not saying that
Mm.
now everyone also follows that journey, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was something like maybe there's a connection and MJ gets snippets of what's happening. Um, but it's like, I don't know, that's all like very one of the things I actually wanted to really congratulate this movie on doing is that they kind of stuck to their guns about the whole memory thing. Like
Yes,
there
I do
needs to
like
be
that.
a
Yeah.
real cost there. And I'm actually totally okay. I think they've done too much implying with Ned for me to be totally be like, all right, fine, he doesn't remember. But with MJ in particular, if we just want to go with like she doesn't remember, she's never going to recover those memories, maybe they can rebuild their relationship, maybe, but they might have
Hmm.
like missed their time because it's a spell. I
Right.
just don't hate that. Like real world consequences make the
It'll,
story
yeah,
feel
it'll
real.
be tragic,
Yeah.
but it might just it might be the next level of just having to do something healthy where Peter has to move on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very intrigued by that. A lot of people are fixating on how she still wears the necklace and she's holding it at the end of the movie and so on and so forth. And I get that, but I
That's true. That's another thing they applied. She goes to a spot where it
yes,
was special to them, and then the first time in the whole
I
movie we see her fiddle with
yes.
the necklace.
My interpretation of that is she now that she's aware of it because of the letter, she has like been able to put together that these weird memories she has where she's weirdly alone. Maybe she wasn't
Mm,
alone. You know
mm-hmm.
what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what
Mm-hmm.
I think she's doing. Because that's something I would do. It's like I have all these
Sure.
memories that seem weirdly out of character, even for me. And maybe this person that I've just become aware of was actually a part of that. And like she has the necklace, which means she likes it a lot, but maybe she doesn't know where she got it. And it's something that was special. And now she realizes like maybe it was from him. Like I'm okay with that. I think that's interesting. Maybe there's a spark there. I don't know. We'll
Mm-hmm.
see. But I also I already said I would cap my point on this, and I haven't. I I was fully. We'll have to talk about this further in a second too. I was fully in when True Love's kiss broke the spell. I was
You
fully
what?
there. I was fully
Oh
there.
no.
It fully had me.
Uh-uh.
It fully had me until Jean revealed, and that's heartbreaking and tragic. However, I
Well,
more
okay. I just get. Oh, sorry.
well,
You
just
finish your point.
my bigger
Okay.
point is that I can more readily believe that a friendship between two guys who've known each other for who knows how long, maybe over a decade, would be stronger than True Love's first kiss from a relationship that was really, let's be honest, at most a year old. Like,
Yeah.
I don't discount Peter's
Yeah.
love for MJ or MJ's love for Peter, but it's something that would break the reality of magic and whatnot. It
Hmm.
needs to marinate a little longer than a year in your senior year of high
Yeah.
school. Whereas the friendship between Ned and Peter, I think there's more genuine, not genuine love, but a different kind of love that I think would be stronger
Hmm.
and able to break through. Which is why again I if Ned does remember, I'm okay with that. It works better for me
Hmm.
than MJ and Peter's relationship.
The kiss moment. I
Broke my
was.
heart. It broke my
I was.
heart.
I mean, it's a great twist. Don't get me wrong. It's very sort of like if only there was someone who loved you, Anna
I
Hans moment.
know.
But um, I was confused by that moment. It was essentially where my brain was. I had not fully gotten to the point of like, Jean's definitely hiding out in there and is going to cause problems. I was just sort of like, why isn't she afraid of the swinging? She doesn't know Spider-Man. To her calculation, she's never done this before. MJ is
Yeah,
supposed to be afraid while swinging. Why is she
I
not afraid while
know.
swinging?
It was
And
all
I was like, are they
there.
making to me, I was like, are they making dumb acting choices? Or are they making dumb writing choices where like it's supposed to
No.
feel like she's safe for the first time in a while because she's in like somehow she remembers? Like I was like, I don't get that. And then and then they were doing the whole like she was like, I knew you, didn't I? And I was like, how would you make that guess? That's a massive leap of logic.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Ned would come to that conclusion because he has it all mapped out, but she didn't seem that into the maps. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know why that's happening.
Yeah.
And then they did the kiss and she remembered and I went, are we really going with this? Are we really doing this?
Yeah.
And then they revealed it. So like the whole point is that I questioned it the whole time, but I
Mm.
somehow never went, this is absolutely Jean Grey doing this. I
Mm.
was just was confused.
No, she had to start talking for me to get there, because I thought I was fully into it, because I had like headcanon that they would have memories of knowing Spider-Man, and just like every instance with Peter in the suit, if the mask was off, it was just back on, and there'd be this like fog of confusion. And then when the familiarity was put in front of them, then it would break the spell or something. It's not until Jean says there are no thoughts of you at all in this head that says to me the spell is way more potent than I had thought just then and there. So yeah, they had me. That's a fantastic sequence. It's just so painfully tragic, and that mixed with the poor man that gets hit by the taxi makes me question Jean a great deal. Like,
yeah,
I understand where she's coming from for the most part, but that's a lot, man. That's a lot.
There are a few lines crossed, and honestly, maybe this is a good segue into Jean.
Yes, I think we're halfway. We're almost halfway. This is a good time to talk about Jean.
I actually love this version of Jean. Like, we've had arguments about it. I'm not the greatest fan of the X-Men in general, and
Yes,
Jean
indeed.
in particular tends to be a sticking point for me, because she very often just ends up being this sort of like superpowered like Barbie doll that men fight over, and that's kind of like the extent of the story. I know there's more than that, but
Need to
when I get
watch
into stuff that's
X-Men
just Jean, it's interesting.
97.
But when
You
it's like,
need to watch it.
fine. Anyway, point is, this introduces Jean as someone who is out for her own sort of goal. She has her own path, her own direction. She has power, and she's not afraid to use it.
Indeed.
She's driven by love for other people because it's her sister. She's like protective. She likes her family, right? Like, there's a whole lot of this that really establishes key personality and character traits for Jean that generally are supposed to exist in Jean, but because they establish it early, and hopefully they'll be consistent with it. I'm hoping for a stronger version of Jean than we get in other
Me too,
X-Men
and I have
franchise
a
stuff.
lot of hope for it. We had said after the movie, I am totally down and excited that Sadie Sink will be one of the faces we see for the next 10 years. I know she's a very strong
good
actor. Yeah, like she looks the part, she can act the part. It'll be cool to see her grow into that part or make it her own, as well. So I'm very excited for that. I think she's already set the bar pretty high for who the new X-Men will be. But I also stand by, say what you want about some of the MCU stuff, especially lately. However, when it comes to casting in general, but also casting when they get their, rightfully so, grubby little mitts back on their characters that other studios have had years to do with, they always nail it. They always nail it.
It's like they have a vendetta. They're like, you can't get it right. Watch how right I can get it.
Yes, I feel the exact same way. Yeah, they've really nailed it. Maybe we'll see. Maybe other than Doctor Doom, I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, we'll see. Anyway, yes, Jean is great. I like the intro of her. The reveal is very fun. The growth of her powers is very good. The triggering of her full-blown powers is great. I like that at first she can't hop into Spider-Man. Yes. I like the hopping thing in general as like a fun crux we have to deal with. I like Peter figuring out the distance.
To all those actors, yes, by the way, because those actors were very good. And this is something that maybe I am aware of because I've watched Stranger Things, but the actors were 100% mimicking her body language, like in small little ways. So like, there's just like the few that I really caught. I mean, Frank, that was funny.
That was great.
Sort of like teenage girl was great. The guy by the alley, he did a great job where he was like reading the letter as he was in his apartment.
Indeed.
And the guy in the high vis outfit, he did a particular thing with his hands that I've seen Sadie Sink do like a bunch of times. So it's just either they had her act it first and they had them mimic them, or I don't know what exactly happened there, but it was still very cool to see the actors do their job about representing like a clear, consistent person kind of taking over those bodies. I liked it a lot. Yes,
very, very true. Sorry, I just thought of something that might have been wrong, but then maybe
Oh,
wasn't. We'll have to talk about it.
okay.
Yes, all of that is great. I like the references to her like future super suit, obviously wearing the green and the yellow, and the tragedy of what VMAX ends up being, very V'ger
Such a
style
good red
thing.
herring.
That was very good. Someone I had heard that had leaked, and someone said that Jean Grey will be after something called VMAX. Everyone was thinking like, that's so stupid. That sounds so dumb. Like, well, yeah, they had you fuckers. It's nothing.
Yeah. No,
So,
but it like the moment where she figures out what it is too is so significant because
yes.
that changes Sarah's last message. It's not Sarah trying to tell her where she is or how to find her or there's anything important. It's just Sarah desperately trying to reach
Right.
for her sister, making a connection. But the last thing she can really say is just the last thing she said.
Right. Absolutely
That's
tragic.
tragic.
Horrible. This new bad guy, he's such a slimy piece of shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he gets away too, so he'll be a consistent villain. Again, bringing me back to
I guess he has connections to like the character he has connections to X-Men.
He's gonna, well, yeah, he does, but he's gonna be a character that's gonna bring me always back to, God damn it, Spider-Man, you should have let her kill him when you had the chance. But anyway.
Especially since Spider-Man is now responsible for anti-mutant
apparently,
technology.
yes, we've made the inhibitor collars. Yeah, honestly is enough for me. So people have been saying that Hulk is in the movie for no reason. I think we should segue into that a little bit real quick if you don't mind. I don't feel he's in it for no reason. I don't have an issue with Lobo being in Supergirl, and Hulk is in this movie for way more reasons than Lobo was even in was in Supergirl.
Like, thematically speaking, Bruce Banner is a perfect character
I think
to bring
so too.
into this situation.
I think it works for him to be an academic in New York City. I think it works for him to be like, I find it more believable that Peter is able to augment existing tech than to just go and invent genetic suppressors. Like, even if he did do that, people would then be like, oh, you mean like Hulk's thing, like you could have brought him in for that. So
right, it would be considered like a continuity error that we had neglected an existing piece of technology.
So I think it works. I like it a lot. And then I had a theory that the montage villains, if not a time skip, was going to be Sadie Sink's character using every superpowered individual in the city she could find to get to where she was going. So her using Scorpion and then becoming aware of Bruce because she's probably keeping tabs on Peter all the time, and using him, I think, makes a lot of sense. Her only being able to control him when he's still Bruce, I think, is perfect. And then my thing, I like Bruce and Peter's interactions. I like Bruce being impressed by how smart he is. I like Peter clearly, being slightly more relaxed because he like knows him.
It's also one of the closest things he's gotten to like genuine social interaction.
Yes.
In a minute.
It's
also the reason he seems really chatty and comfortable with the detective, right?
Yes.
Like these are the people he considers, he's the closest things he has to friends right now. This is a little conversation.
Indeed. And it gave a little bit of a callback in my mind to the finally someone who speaks English moment where like when Bruce looks at him, the way he could just talk through it all. Skipping quickly, not skipping, I guess coming to the moment, Bruce being so scared and upset at having to go deal with this again is brilliantly done. Mark Ruffalo is still crushing it. I like this little detail of course the pants are never going to rip, but he was wearing Smart Hulk clothes, and when he transforms into Savage Hulk, he is so big that he rips through those clothes, which is so much fun.
Yeah.
This version of Hulk looks amazing. I was going to say incredible, but I felt like that was a little too on the nose. He's just veiny and monstrous, and I love the voice. The voice is great. I love the callback to No Banner, Only Hulk, but it sounds way better. My thing, one of my only nitpicks of this movie is I do not like that he goes back to Banner. I wanted him to stay Hulk. We had our time of just Banner. I want our time of just Hulk. And I think that's a missed opportunity, genuinely, because what
Yeah.
happens is, Bruce Banner is whisked away. He doesn't come back into the movie. Just do that, but keep it green. Just have him jump
I think
away.
it's a great idea. I think they maybe need to be sensitive about where they want him for Doomsday. But there's there's a great point about just like Bruce is arguably, well, okay, maybe not the greatest victim in the story, but he's the one that like he didn't do anything. He
Right.
gave some kid some advice on a project he hypothetically had,
Uh huh.
warned the kid against messing with nature too much, and then he got hijacked
Uh
and
huh.
turned into the Hulk
Yep.
and ended up fighting a person who's supposed to be his friend, even though arguably a spell erased that memory. Point is, this man did nothing wrong in this
Nothing.
entire film, and yet you know, he's locked up.
Yep. It's
So
terrible. All that to say, though, the fight sequence is great. It's so much fun. The
it's really good.
thunderclap is great. The webs wrapping around him and like
Putting
digging into his
Frank
muscles.
there,
Oh yes, that's.
putting Frank there is hilarious too, just because he realizes pretty quickly this is not something that he can do.
I like that Peter straight up says this is really above your pay grade, which is so true. I like that he really only fights Smart Hulk, and he's like that's low enough
Mm,
level that
mm,
he could survive that. But
mm,
I will say just a tad, just a smidge, little tiny
mm,
itty bitty bit of a nitpick, I suppose, perhaps.
mm.
I find it hard to believe that Jean is not more concerned that full blown Hulk is up and around.
Sure.
Seeing him
Hmm.
through Punisher's eyes and being like, "Oh, good luck with that." Is like, young lady, you're on the same floor as this thing, and you've already established that you can't control it. That would make me piss myself. Like, everyone knows
I
who
see
the
what
Hulk
you're saying.
is. Even the college
Hmm.
students who love him and idolize him, if he turned into Hulk, there'd still be pissing in the pants, because the most
Aired.
recent Hulk
Hmm.
moment was Red Hulk. It was reestablished in people's minds that this is not always a fun
Not a
thing.
friendly.
Yeah, so
Hmm.
I would be more concerned. Like just just a quick scene or moment of her realizing, oh shit, I might be a little bit in over my head here, because she's not
Yeah,
she's
out
not
of my
full blown
depth.
Jean Grey yet. Like she can't
Hmm.
use her telekinesis to fly away or push him or keep him at bay. She is in a building with the most savage version of Hulk that we have had since Age of Ultron, and that's not good. So
Yeah,
nitpick, just a nitpick,
fair.
tiny bit of a nitpick. The
Hmm.
fight as a whole though is great. I have a lot of fun with it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, the building breaking, them falling off the
Yes.
side, even the way that it ends, because like, I think Spider-Man is very clever. He's
Hmm.
very strong. He's very capable in a fight. I don't think it's right for Spider-Man to 1v1 and win against the
Oh
Hulk.
no,
Like, yeah.
no.
And like there because he's as strong as he is, he's still ultimately sort of more of like a dexterous kind of fighter. There's just no the only thing that really works is when Spider-Man makes an emotional connection, which is
Hmm.
essentially what happens in this film. I just have questions about what exactly the emotion was. 'Cause I hear the arguments about Savage Hulk or Hulk not being arguably in the world when the spell was cast or whatever, for some reason being unaffected by the spell. And
Hmm.
like that does make sense on one level. I could see the Hulk being just like immune to magic or something, or at least psychic magic, because simplicity or something.
Sure.
But then I just don't know if I don't know if it's recognition in his face. You
I
know,
that's what I
it's ambiguous.
yeah, that's where my nitpickery comes back. And again, I just want Hulk to get distracted or get mad at something else or just get annoyed, or he gets through his fog of anger, the clarity comes around, but it's Hulk clarity. He decides he doesn't care to
Hmm.
fight Spider-Man
Hmm.
anymore and he just wants to leave.
Right.
Because I think it's pretty obvious that Hulk does remember him. It is recognition. I just don't buy it. Like we now have
Mm-hmm.
the what I don't honestly, we're far enough in the weeds that even I don't know what phase of Marvel we're in right now, but I'll say for this last phase, the the trend is the villains being talked down. You know, we've had that more than any other phase. And I think it's split down the middle as to when it works and when it doesn't. And in this instance, I don't think it works. Because I can believe that Hulk is unaffected by the spell. I can believe that Hulk might recognize Peter. I can recognize that in a different situation, he wouldn't kill Spider-Man. I do not believe in this instance he would care enough to stop fighting. To the point where he not only stops fighting, he lets Banner come back. Even if it was just he recognizes Peter and he's like, you know what, okay, maybe I'll stop, and he leaves. That's one thing, but he calms down enough to let Banner come back after this triumphant, wonderful statement of no Banner, only Hulk. Oh, you bitches! Just give it back to me. Oh, it's so upsetting. But
I think I mostly agree. I'm not as upset about him turning back to Bruce, but I do feel like I like that there's an emotional moment between the two of them, but I do feel like the total regret that seems to show up after that moment seems a little out of character or a little wrong. Like I buy the idea that, you know, saying it's me, it's Peter, please, like we're friends. I think we've seen enough of Hulk in this like MCU franchise to know that he would be able to make a decision based off past friendships or relationships.
Sure.
You know, he would remember Spider-Man as an ally. So there might be something there. But it's not so regretful that he would just sort of be like, "Oh my gosh, what have I done?" Because that's a Bruce reaction. That's not a Hulk reaction.
Exactly. Where I'm troubled is I get more nitpicky in that I can believe that Hulk would know who Spider-Man is because Bruce knew who Spider-Man is, but Hulk has never met Spider-Man. Peter never met him as Hulk. He only ever fought with him as Smart Hulk. So it's extra. I don't think this big green guy gives a shit about this specky little nerd. You know, like you at least you'd have to take the mask off. You got to give me more than just a sad eye. Just something, you know, just a little bit. So
apparently that was a filming discovery. Like as they were filming, they realized when the lens was just in the right spot, you could see through it.
Nice.
Through the mask.
That's cool.
So that's kind of a cool use of a accidental discovery.
Yeah. I think honestly without that it makes the scene worse. So I'm glad they discovered that.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the Hulk. I just wanted more. I don't think it was pointless. I don't think it was useless. I think it was great and tragic and fun. It makes the world feel lived in still. I just wanted more is all. My next little nitpick here is like when she gets into the vault with Punisher, she doesn't just hop into Bill's mind. But I guess if she did that, she would lose Punisher and then she would die. So I guess we have to kind of decide what to do there. And then we give Jean to the bad guy, and then we kind of realize that after we have this very emotional moment with MJ, which again is heartbreaking and tragic and terrible and awful. We also skipped over a really fun moment where they fix the inhibitor together, which is a very great moment because like the moment between Ned and Spider-Man later in the apartment is great. They're very naturally good together. This is that moment for Spider-Man and MJ where they just can talk to each other so comfortably. That's very, very good.
And like the conversation they're having before she comes around the curtain and helps him is very MJ Peter. Like
so much.
And like you can tell that it like hurts Peter. He loves it, but it's also like he's missing it. It's just he's smiling the whole time, even though his project's not working. And then when she comes around and actually helps him, that actually felt kind of like a new relationship. That was like a reminder that they haven't known each other because she was able to fix a tech problem that he was having because she's gone to MIT, and that's not something that she's ever done before.
Right. Exactly.
You know, she's not been like a tech assistant or mechanical minded person up to this point. So like I loved it. I thought it was really cool. I thought it added dimension to the character.
Indeed.
Again, I think they're doing a really good job like evolving MJ's character over the course of these events. But it also felt like it was new. You know, like that was something that they were adding to the equation.
And it was reminiscent of when Gwen fixes the web shooters so that Peter could fight Electro. I liked that quite a bit because it's also tragically. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, I think the Peter slip kind of feels
Yes,
like
I've thought of
the
that
one
too.
from.
Yes,
Hmm.
because it is also
Yeah,
very
'cause
tragic that this Peter has gone down the route that Peter 3 didn't want him to go down, which is he has
hmm
no time for anything else. He's only Spider-Man, and he stopped pulling his punches because he's, for
hmm
different reasons, he's becoming more of a
yeah,
spider, which we do have to talk
his
about.
body is hijacking him a
Yes,
little bit.
indeed. It's very good. There's lots of little things like that in this movie, and that's great.
hmm
Um,
hmm
but yeah, then we have our lovely sequence in the apartment with the spider tracker and the spider wall and Ned and Lord of the Rings references that you didn't catch, you phony Lord of the Rings
Wow.
fan. Who watches Lord
Wow.
of the Rings every Christmas?
Call me out.
Whose family
Me.
watches Lord of the Rings every Christmas and didn't
You
catch
start
that
it without me
reference?
almost every time.
Who didn't catch it? You didn't catch it.
I'm sorry.
Ridiculous.
Their accents were terrible.
The lines are right there. What are you talking? Who? How much more do you need? Uncle, dragon, push out the door. Okay, keep your secrets. That's a full-blown meme. You goof. You absolute goof.
Yeah, I don't know. I was in the moment, all right? He was with his friends. They were getting along.
Did you even catch that they were building an X-Wing from another franchise
I
you like?
did.
Okay, just checking.
Because it's also paralleling when they built the Death Star, all right?
I think it's
got
more
there.
paralleling that we're dealing with an X-Man.
That's not a parallel, but sure.
Well, no, but it's like a reference. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I just that scene felt so good for him. And like
yes.
it feels like a nothing scene in the middle of like a high stakes. Like Jean is, you know, what's going on with her is not solved, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just sitting there chilling,
Yep.
hanging out, and yet it's super important. It's
Mm-hmm.
really
Oh,
important.
yes,
MJ
indeed.
kind of normalizes her interactions with Spider-Man slash Peter,
Yeah.
and
There's
Ned
no
is making connections.
from off
Peter's
the top.
feeling
Yes.
relationship for the first time in a while.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go
No, no,
ahead.
no. I'm
Mhm.
interrupting you, and I'm sorry. I wanted to add to your point. That is, I've only seen the movie twice, but I feel like there's no boring downtime in this movie. When we're in
Mm.
downtime, everything is
Mhm.
important. The only scene that I felt a little more bored watching the second time was the Jean flashback. But we need that. It is fully
Mm.
necessary. It's fully
Mhm.
necessary. It's just by that point the movie's really, really going. And like I just want to keep like I
Mhm.
want the reveal. I
They take
want
their
the
time with that
they
scene too.
do. They
Like it's
do.
slow and it's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's
Good.
very much needed, and it builds. You have to have enough time with Sarah to feel a little bit of the death because we
Mhm.
don't ever really
Mhm.
officially meet her except for in this
Mhm.
past memory. But the downtime with Ned and with MJ and with Frank, and if you even want to count talking to Bruce, like all of it is super necessary and
Mhm.
it's great. So yeah, I
Mhm.
appreciate all. Oh, and with I would say with Yelena as well. Like all of these are kind of like calm down
Mm.
info moments where we're getting a lot of Peter's life and his
And that
emotional
was,
state.
I think it's part of the brilliance of the writing and the script in this movie is they're not using MCU figureheads because they have to, because it's an MCU project. Although arguably that is a little bit of the vibe when we first meet them. It's because the way that those characters are used actually enhances the story. Like
Mm-hmm.
Yelena clocks really early that he's not got any friends or like
Mm-hmm.
relationships or anything, and she feels bad for him. And then
Mm-hmm.
later, when she comes back to help him, even though it's small potatoes, she notices that he has friends, and she's like, "Good, keep
I'm
up
just
with
glad the
that,
sad
right?"
man has friends.
And then Bruce being a part of it too, like you can kind of see him putting together pieces about like this Spider-Man kid is doing the exact same thing this random
Yeah.
kid
Oh,
from my
Bruce.
classroom
Bruce
is
also.
doing.
If Ned didn't figure out that Peter is Spider-Man and like only remembers
Hmm.
Peter in that moment, Bruce definitely figured it out because he talks
Oh
to a
yeah.
kid about an inhibitor, and then Spider-Man gives him an inhibitor. When he looks at him, he's like, "Motherfucker, are you this kid? Are you that kid?" Like he
Yes.
absolutely figured it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just they're not just there as fun little like also hey this character exists. They're there to be characters in this story that is
Mm-hmm.
being told, and they're there in a way that highlights the isolation and identity thing that's happening for Peter.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really good. I mean, even in the scene where Yelena is calling him out for not having a life, he's in a bathhouse with his mask on, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's no better way to say that I'm not living life with my own face
Right.
than that.
Yeah. I also like,
Yeah.
since after we watched this, we actually ended up watching Thunderbolts later. Yelena is
Mm-hmm.
now in the position of Red Guardian when Yelena was depressed and
Mm-hmm.
friendless in Thunderbolts. She can see it in him because she was there already, which is just
Mm-hmm.
chef's kiss, honestly. Again,
It's
connecting
really
things and
good.
keeping up with those threads from the past and all that. We are approaching our time. There's a few more things we have to talk about.
Okay.
We've kind of touched on Jean a lot. I think we can kind of wrap up that for the most part. The ending is fine. Um, this is one of those like talking down the villain. I think works in the sense it's using a memory from Aunt May to like, because you already established she has
Mm-hmm.
mom issues and it's beautiful and wonderful, and it's definitely something she would have said to Peter. It applies to her. I think it works very, very
Mm-hmm.
well. And then Peter sacrificing himself for her just to solidify that, yeah, there are people that care about you. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Her keeping him
Mm-hmm.
alive by using her telepathy to breathe
Mm-hmm.
for him and her telekinesis to beat his heart. That's not discussed. I had to look into that. That's a thing she did. That's wild and amazing, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Punisher immediately regretting what he did, I think, is beautiful and tragic.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think, honestly, I do, that if he had achieved what he was going to do and shot Jean, he would have ended up having the same reaction in a way. Because I
Mm-hmm.
think he's so caught up in being the Punisher that shooting a kid would probably wake him up in a way that he wasn't
Mm-hmm.
expecting. Because it's really only implied to him that Peter is a kid. And at this point, Peter's not a
Mm-hmm.
kid. So I think if he had actually shot Jean, it would have had a similar result. Um,
Yeah.
but all that's cool. Watching Jean's powers develop is cool. The way she does telekinesis is terrifying and great.
Mm-hmm. I like the special effects they've picked for.
Yes.
This is something I should probably knock on wood just because they've done it so many times. There's got to be a flub somewhere. I have not disliked an artistic special effects choice for a power up in the MCU so far. I love the chaos magic. I love Agatha's magic. I've loved Loki's magic. I love Jean's special effects. I love the
Invisible
light
Woman.
refraction of Invisible Woman.
Indeed.
There's like whenever there is some sort of like extra sensory or magical special effect to be designed and used, they always do a really good job
Mm.
and they make it look unique and special to the
Mm-hmm.
character while still giving it like world building similarities to other things like the
Indeed.
whole strange magic sort of like sigils and patterns, geometric patterns showing up in other
Mm-hmm.
powers.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
It's very
good.
good.
So this one is a continuation of that pattern. The
Yes.
sort of weird like oil spill iridescent like
Yes.
rippling that she's
Yes.
got. It's
Yes.
good.
Yes. Fully agree. Fully agree. Yeah, so I'm fine with how that goes. And then the fight sequence with the hand is great. We kind of can skip over the hand for now because neither of us really love what they did with the hand. Neither does my little
Yeah,
sister.
I've got
That's
questions
her
about
biggest
the
gripe.
hand.
But so here's my last nitpick. For now. Was it maybe crazy to expect symbiote? I don't think only a little bit because the last movie ends with that.
Right.
Is it crazy to expect Man Spider? I do not think so. I think the trailers for this movie strongly implied Man Spider. We do not get Man Spider, and
I do think it's supposed to be like a miniature version of Man
I understand that
Spider.
that's what it is. Yes,
Hmm.
but what we end up getting, like, there's so much of what the trailers did, and like including the Hulk and Jean and Punisher, like all of these things are things that happen in the animated cartoon when he becomes Man Spider, as he goes and talks to the mutants. Punisher's the one that has to hunt him down. And how does maybe he survive a fight with the Hulk that you don't know, like you don't know how it ends yet because you're only seeing clips of it in the trailer. He turns into something
Hmm.
stronger. So
Hmm.
all of that was definitely implied. don't love that we didn't do it. Is the movie hurt by not including Man Spider? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. However, the new issue is he just gets over his spider issues. I do not like that. We
reject the true love's kiss solution, but we do accept the I accept who I am.
And so I can suppress the growing, mutating DNA in my body that I needed next level invented technology to suppress. All I have to do is be like, you know what? I'm both. It's this version's Peter Parker's version of nah, I'm gonna do my own thing. It's like, you can't just nah, I'm gonna do my own thing over your growing arachnid genetics, good sir. Like that's ridiculous. Like, because it's at the
very least, if they had come up with some argument about like he's no longer as isolated as he was, and therefore he's able to maintain a better balance just within himself, and therefore the metaphor extends to the hormones or whatever, that would have been better. But I don't feel like we're there yet. And the moment just kind of like screams like because I accept myself, I can do anything, which is not what this film was doing for most of the time.
Yeah, so, there is a notable good parallel to Tobey's Spider-Man 2 in that we're dealing with torn between two lives, existential crisis, but we're leaning into the opposite. But as I said, and I still stand by this a little bit, that the issue in Spider-Man 2 isn't so much existential suppression of powers as it is not taking care of himself and needing to rest. And it's also because the spider sense works when the car is thrown at him, is that the powers aren't gone. They're still there. Whereas this instance is not that. It's like we're getting biometric scans of his body's hormone levels. We're seeing physical changes beyond just my webs aren't working. Well, maybe eat a little bit more, take care of yourself, rest. My sticking isn't working. It's like, okay, well, maybe that's... Technically speaking, the sticking is a conscious choice. In Tobey's, it's a little bit different because we see his nasty little spider hairs on his fingers. But, like, I feel like everything in Tobey's example is something that could be a psychological block. This instance, what Tom is going through is not something you could just psychologically be like, I'm fine with this now. Yeah, I can just get over it. Like, no. And see, but that's the thing, is going through Man Spider and then quote-unquote dying or re-emerging then balances out something in him. Like, he comes back after it. Like, it is all... Yeah, the YouTube stuff is wrong. Spiders do not have life cycles. But you could write in that the Spider-Men kind of do, if need be. Like, because of how their powers work. You know, like, he did overdo it. Like, or something like that.
The real reason they give for the like spider hormones to be increasing in him is because he is isolating himself. Exactly, like that there's it's a physiological thing, but there's a psychological trigger that makes it happen. And I feel like it's really interesting just around that, because there is a way in which you could walk that back. Or potentially you could just say he was headed down a path, ends up getting shot, basically dies, comes back after, you know, the intervention of Jean Grey.
Sure.
Maybe there's a balancing that happens through all that, especially since he wakes up in the hospital with a lot of friends and care, cars off to the side, and an actual friend who's supporting him off to the side. And when he leaves, he's already making conscious decisions to be more social. Like, there was a way to do this without being like just a little bit cheesy.
Yeah, I agree. But I also feel like if the movie wasn't so good, I would be more upset, because the trailers are deliberately misleading because of the dialogue they choose. Where, like, when Jean is in that one guy after the web grenade explodes, like, you get rid of that monster inside you. They're doing the bio scans. They're talking about life cycles of spiders. They're showing us characters that are in that. So my point being, you did not make this movie and make these trailers and then not think that everyone was going to think you're doing Man Spider when you knew deliberately you weren't going to. Or potentially
Venom, right.
Or potentially Venom, and then you did neither one. You know, like, this movie is so...
I do feel like, I don't know if they would have wanted to go the full horror route for a Spider-Man
And
film.
maybe not. That's
You
but
know?
then I would have
Mm-hmm.
honestly kept a little bit more of the whole I'm losing control of my powers thing to myself. Like, to itself,
Mm-hmm.
because this movie is so rich in its comic book nods. There's no way that they were
Right.
like, "Oh wait, guys, we made this whole movie and I'm just now realizing they're going to think we're doing Man Spider." You motherfuckers knew this
Mm-hmm.
the whole time. And it's not cool that we aren't going to do it, cuz like you can't go do it now. You've kind of wasted the
Mm-hmm.
whole buildup. You can't just, and now he's Man Spider if we ever wanted to re-examine it later on, because the next thing they have to do if they do Secret Wars kind of quote unquote right is the symbiote, which would be awesome and very fun.
Well,
But
I also think there's a really interesting, potentially accidental parallel here where when Spider-Man or Peter meets Jean,
mhm.
he's dealing with an inner force inside himself that's taking him over, that's based
Yes,
in his powers, right?
yes,
And I don't know if we're going to go the Dark Phoenix route in the MCU, but that is like an iconic
uh-huh,
Jean like comic
indeed,
story arc. So I
yes,
thought it would be interesting for her to have had this experience with Peter
uh-huh,
and then go on and deal with something relatively similar
yes,
herself in the future.
indeed, I agree. So yeah, honestly, I think I'm a little more annoyed that there wasn't Man Spider or symbiote over the Hulk, not just hulking away, because of the marketing becomes just super misleading due to that choice to not follow through with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it doesn't hurt the movie that they don't do that, other than Peter just getting over it. You know, like we could have done some, we could have
Mm-hmm.
explored something a little bit, like just a tad somewhere, something like I don't know, something else.
There
Um,
had to be a solution. I
there
wasn't in the
something.
writer's room, but there
Yeah.
had to have been
There's
something.
in the Spectacular Spider-Man, Spider-Man considers using the lizard cure to cure himself completely, and this Peter Parker is aware of the lizard cure
Mm-hmm.
and could have been something he tried to pursue instead of, or in addition to, Hulk's inhibitor thing. You know, like
I mean, potentially, but that would remove Spider-Man from his life, and he was only Spider-Man at the time.
I mean, if we wanted to go down the route of Man Spider, and that was how they fix
Oh,
it in the
I
end,
see. I see.
like
I
if
see.
if we
I see.
wanted to do Man Spider but find a way out of it and include like, another thing or introduce the use, so on and so forth, there are lots and lots of options here. We didn't really touch on the organic webs. They are wonderfully disgusting and super cool
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
I like that they did like the aesthetic of the design is different. They
yes,
seem
I
more
agree.
like less scientific. The webs that we get from the web shooters are they basically look like little ropes. Like they
Yes.
have a pattern to them and a weave to
Mm-hmm.
them, whereas the organic webs are messier.
Yes. And nasty as hell. I love that
They're
like the
gross.
first time he uses it, he just like can't control it, and it's like a fire hose. It's funny and
It's so
nasty.
spooky.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Um, it we have to say, right? Like objectively speaking, they've got to be stronger than Toby's, right? Because they seem to
Mm.
be a great deal more
I mean,
so,
they're stronger than his like artificial ones
right? Which are
or
already
synthetic
extremely
ones.
strong.
Yeah, like arguably we've seen those webs do a lot of things like hold together fairies and
Mm-hmm.
superpowered people. So if they're stronger than that, there's a good argument to be had that these organic webs are the strongest Spider-Man webs that we've seen.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's fair to say. I know we didn't touch on everything. We're technically at our time. Anything else you want to throw on before we kind of end this marathon officially?
I really liked it.
Same.
Like this movie in particular, and also doing the marathon. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I was able to appreciate this one better because we had actually watched all of them fairly
Mm-hmm.
recently.
Yeah, I think that definitely helps it a lot because you get to see all the nods and see all the things that came before it and what they build up from that, which is wonderful and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Secret ending was
Mm-hmm.
fine. My money's on Toby.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I whatever it is, I'm betting it's a dimension
Oh, for
because the
sure, for sure.
glitch. But that's the only thing I really have. Yeah.
My only nitpick with that is it shows us more how Spider Tracker works, and Peter's aware of that. You're gonna tell me that you know of that and you didn't recognize Ned's voice? He clearly made all of the voices for all of the little alerts and stuff.
I didn't notice
I would have
that.
caught that immediately. You know, my best friend made an
Mm-hmm.
app tracking me. Like I would recognize his voice.
Mm-hmm.
Nitpick doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't hurt anything. Very fun. Yeah. There's gonna be things I'm gonna think about later that I should have said, but
Right.
yeah, I also enjoyed this. This was great fun. I love our superhero summers. Who knows what we'll do next year? I mean, I know what we're gonna do, but who knows what we're gonna do?
Yeah.
You know who we have
Yeah.
to
I
do.
don't know.
It's just
This Jean
non-negotiable.
Grey sets a really high bar for the
Oh
X-Men
yes,
casting and
yes.
writing, and just by the very nature of it being X-Men writing and
Mm.
casting, casting's actually generally pretty good, but writing it got me nervous. So we
We'll
shall
see.
see
Yes, indeed,
how the MCU does in this endeavor.
indeed. That's us. It is a whale. Highly
Yeah,
recommend.
highly recommend. Like, if you were only going to watch one, it probably wouldn't make a lot of sense to pick this one,
But
but I would want to suggest it
I
anyway.
have seen it said multiple times that this is objectively the best live action Spider-Man movie, and I do think there's a very strong argument to be made there. Because again, I don't. I mean,
Hmm.
I get why Spider-Man 2 is largely considered that. But I don't personally feel that way. I like seeing more of Spidey's life here. I like seeing more modern day Spidey. That's my own thing. That's preference, I guess. But I think this is very possibly the best live action Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, it's just very good, detailed down to the core,
I
steeped in history.
you can tell
It's
me if
good.
this is a preference or not. I think it's more fun when the issues with the powers are too powerful, not that they're going away.
Agreed. I think it depends on what you're trying to do narratively, um, but I do find it more interesting when you're getting forced into a transformation rather than being like denied something you had, you know?
Yes.
So I think it's more fun that way.
Mm-hmm. That is us. We're all done. On to
That's
the
us.
next marathon, which is quite a
Hmm.
change of
Young
genre,
kids, stunts.
I guess. Yeah, but like, see, there's a way to look at this where it's just Spider-Man, but way, way, way worse. And I don't want to look at it like that, but that's the only way you could connect the
Yeah,
two.
no, because it's not a superhero story, so
No, no, no.
their themes are different.
Yes, but I'm excited for that too.
There.
I like those movies. It's been a long time since I've seen them. Are we gonna say what it is? No, we're
Hmm.
not. So whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm done. Bye everybody.
Bye.